ayayere uyo uko kuno apo pano mamuona kere nai.
Right, 1 December 2021, and today I've got a quick look at a very sad occurrence and topic that is trending in Zimbabwe. And specifically, this is to do with the death of Zida CEO, Douglas Munatsi, who passed away on Sunday night. So that is in the morning, or on the morning of Monday, the 29th of November. That is when he died in a fire at his flat, which is in the CBD in Harare. So this death is mysterious because a lot of the things that happened are not clear, and the police have also said that they suspect that there was arson which was involved in the death of Mr. Douglas Munatsi. So Douglas Munatsi, according to people that I've spoken to, was a very nice guy. And recently, he was in Scotland. If you look at these pictures here, he was in Scotland with investors. I'm sure a number of people flew to Scotland with him, where Zida was presenting to investors about opportunities in Zimbabwe. So he was someone who, according to people that have talked to me, was very close to the president of Zimbabwe, Idi Mnangagwa. He was one of those people that are very trusted, which is why he was appointed to this position of Zida CEO. And Douglas himself said in an interview with Trevor Ncube that it was a big sacrifice for him to come and work at Zida. He left a very comfortable life so that he could come and work at Zida. It was not easy for him to work at Zida. So I want to try and play this video so that you can hear what he said about his decision to work at Zida. It was not an easy decision at all. And it was not like he benefited from coming to work at Zida. It was actually a sacrifice. So let me play this video quickly so that you can hear what he said to Trevor when they were talking about his decision to come and work at Zida. I'm sorry, my connection is a bit slow today because there's heavy rains here. So let's hear what he said.
I think that you and I, we've been through this. We think that there are solutions that we can provide for certain challenges that are in our country, and therefore, when you are called upon to put in practice some of the things that you often lecture other people to do, that's the real test. What do they say? That's when the rubber meets the road, right? So yes, I think that is really what it is. It is to serve your country. It is to, and also I think you and I, having lived outside the country for a long time, you realize that it's not, it doesn't give you satisfaction to see other countries progressing, to see other people doing well, to see the kinds of things that you think we should be doing in our country, and you remain not contributing, not your hand to the plow or.
All right. So I think you can see what kind of person Douglas Munatsi was. He was the kind of person that wanted to contribute to Zimbabwe. He was someone who just didn't want to look at things from afar. And as I said, he sacrificed a lot to come to Zimbabwe. So I want to take you through the timeline of what happened according to former police sources. I've put the police statement on gambako.com. You can go there and see it now. Then I want to look at the possibilities of what could have happened, why this death is suspicious. And then I want to look at the conspiracy theories that surrounds this death. So Munatsi's flat is a penthouse. It's a stunning building. If you look at the pictures that I'm sharing now, this is Munatsi's bedroom in that penthouse, the sitting room, the boardroom, and then this is the entryway. Then if you look at this bathroom here, this is his ensuite bathroom in his penthouse. So it is 7 bedrooms, a gym. So this is the gym. It had a swimming pool. I don't know if this was a swimming pool or a water feature outside. And it was a stunning building. So someone who has been to this house or to this place told me that Munatsi's main house is in Borodobrook. And then he used this place to entertain when he didn't want people to go to his house. That is in Zimbabwe. But remember, Munatsi had a business in Botswana and in South Africa. So Bank ABC was based in Botswana and in South Africa. So Munatsi had South African properties or citizenship. He was basically living in both countries. And I will show you why I'm mentioning this later on. But Munatsi was not someone who just lived in this flat. He had his things. And the question that arose to me when I first saw this story was, why was he here without his wife, without his kids? And then obviously it occurred to me that they possibly lived in a different country. So probably they lived in South Africa or they lived in Botswana. So one of those 2 countries. Then you'll see that there's family. He's got family in Zimbabwe. And before I proceed, let me show you what happened to the flat after it burned. So you can see that this flat was badly burned. And we are going to go back here to say, why did Munatsi not manage to escape? So I'm going to go back to this question. I want to show you the time when they were now removing his body. So let's look at the time when they were removing his body. There were family members there. Right, so you can see that there's an elderly woman there, probably his mother. So Munatsi himself, he was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 59 years old, which means he was not very young. He was almost retirement age. But that could be his mom over there and family members. So there are family members in Zimbabwe. But I do not think his wife was there. And this takes me to the timeline. I want to take you through the timeline of what happened. So Munatsi, Douglas, he was burned in his flat on Monday morning, which means he slept on Sunday night in the flat, and everything was fine. The chef, the person who cooks for him, the chef, last saw him on Saturday. So that is the guy called Sauros Murichambo. He went to work and he knocked off on Saturday at 3. And then on the 28th, which was on the Sunday, Munatsi went to get COVID tests. So he went with his driver to get COVID tests. I don't know which hospital they went to or which clinic or which lab they went to. So the security guard called Shupai saw him at about 6 o'clock. Then the driver, Martin, Chitura confirmed this story because he said he dropped him off at around 6 p.m. And then when Munatsi arrived at the flat, he said there was going to be a visitor who was going to come and see him at his flat. And she's called, well, he didn't give the name to the guard, but she arrived at around 6. So basically the same time that Munatsi arrived from the COVID tests, that is the same time that Coletta arrived. And then when she arrived, so Munatsi went upstairs. When she arrived, the guard who is working for one of the big security company, I think it's Securico, he walked Coletta to the flat. So this was odd to me. Why is the guard walking Coletta up to the flat? So that was quite strange to me. It was something very strange. So he left her in the flat, and she left the flat at about 9:20 at night. And then nothing happened between 9:20 at night and 1 o'clock. So 2 o'clock in the morning, Munatsi wrote his brother, Cadmelon Munatsi, an SMS or a WhatsApp message discussing a family issue. So this family issue was not disclosed, but he wrote a message at 2 a.m. So between 2 a.m. and 2:50 a.m. in the morning of Monday, this is when everything happened. So in that 50 minutes, or less than 50 minutes, the neighbor of Munatsi, then you can obviously go and see his name on gambako.com. The story is at the top. He heard screaming or shouting from Munatsi's flat. However, the Herald newspaper, they say that Munatsi asked the neighbor to call the police. So the police or the fire brigade. I found this odd because the question then arises, why did Munatsi not have his cell phone on him? And remember, there was no electricity. So I want us to go back to these things. There was no electricity in the whole complex from Saturday. So it's possible that his phone was not charged. And then there was this fire. Then the question obviously arises to say, between the time the 2 o'clock and 2:50, could his phone have run out of battery? When the explosion happened, did he run away and it was now impossible for him to get the phone? So there are so many questions here around why Munatsi was unable to use his own phone to call probably people that, he's a very connected guy. He could have called anybody. Why was he unable to call? And the other question that arises is Coletta. She left at 9:20. For a woman, I find that very strange. How was he going to get home and so forth? It's quite a tricky situation. And I want to take you now to the pictures of Coletta, right? The Coletta who is written here in this police report. People have been circulating pictures of a model called Coco Coletta. We've reported extensively on Coletta since morning. And I've asked friends of Munatsi, and they say they do not know her, the association between her and Munatsi. They are surprised to see her. So this is Coletta here, Coletta the model. So Coletta the model, she modeled clothes for Natai Natai and her factory between April 2020 and October 2020. So that is April, May, June, July, August, September, October. That's 7 months. She was modeling for Natai Natai. And the owner of Natai Natai, I did WhatsApp her. You also the WhatsApp that I sent out this morning. I asked her, who is Coletta that worked for you? What is her surname? Where does she come from? So Cheryl Nyasha Johnson, she refused to say. She said she doesn't know this lady that she worked with for 6 months, for 7 months. I found it very odd. And I think the identity of Coletta, the model, Coco Coletta, and Coletta, the woman who was the last to see Douglas alive. Because remember, what we were saying here is that she left at 9:20 and she walked on foot, which means the security guard did not pick her up. Douglas was left in the house by himself. Munatsi was left in the house by himself between 9:20 and 2 a.m. She was most likely the last person to see him. He didn't seem to have seen anybody else in between. So it would be important to find out if this Coletta that people are circulating is the same Coletta that went into the building. I've tried to inquire around. Her Instagram account is private. She's got, for a model, she's very secretive. She does not have any public profiles except for the work that she did for these two companies. And it's also strange that Natai, the brand, the clothing brand, which is owned by Cheryl, is refusing to identify or to provide the identity of Coletta. Who is Coletta, and is she the same Coletta that visited? Also, I've inquired around, and apparently she's not resident in Zimbabwe. So this Coletta model, she's not resident in Zimbabwe. Has she, or is she going to bring herself forward? Or is she being protected from coming forward? So these are very important questions. Also, the question of the wife, to me, it keeps coming back. Where is the wife? Is the marriage still on? Were these two still married? Were they living together? Was something happening? Because obviously, as a business person, I expect him to travel around a lot, Munatsi. But I have not heard a comment from the wife. I've not heard a comment from the children. I've not heard a statement. So it's been very, very quiet regarding the family of the side, the family side. I then want to go to the issue of the conspiracies. So I think we're covered in terms of the timeline. Munatsi was basically in contact with somebody until the very last 50 minutes. Nothing happened to him until the fire. So he was talking to people. He was not killed by Coletta. She didn't kill him before she left because he talked to his brother. Except if you took his phone and went with it and then started texting on his behalf. And also, it's quite strange. I don't think he was killed by Coletta because he talked to the neighbor. So he was basically alive until the time of the fire. The question then arises, was he killed? There's always this suspicion in Zimbabwe when someone dies that he was killed. And here at Gambako Media, we always have a problem when we're dealing with death because family members, they tend to come to us and say, oh, why did you say that about our person and so forth? I've had so many issues with family members here. So I need to be very careful here. Let me look at, I've looked at the wife and kids. Why was he alone in the flat? Obviously, his wife could have been in South Africa or Botswana or at the Borodobrook house. If she was at the Borodobrook house, obviously that indicates a problem in the marriage. Or because he was going to be traveling the next day. Remember, I took COVID tests. That means he could have said, let me stay in town. And then, so there are many explanations, but obviously there are question marks around the wife and kids. Then there's also the issue of Coletta. It's not clear who Coletta is. Why did she visit him for 3 hours? What were they discussing at night? And who is she? Is she the same Coletta who is also Coco? So if you go on Instagram, you can see that her account is private. Right. So Coletta is a question. The wife and kids is a question. Why was he alone? And then there's also the issue of why he did not have his phone with him. That's a big question. Why did he not have his phone on his hands? Then obviously people have been asking. Munatsi died in his bathroom. He was not burned. He died of heat or smoke inhalation. One of those two. However, Simbachi Kanza, my friend Simbachi Kanza, he made a tweet, or he put out a banner here. Let's see what Simbachi Kanza said. Simbachi Kanza said, whoever replaces Douglas Munatsi could give us a clue of who assassinated him. Before his death, he was receiving death threats, a close source says. So I want to sort of disagree with Simbachi Kanza. I do not think this was an assassination, because if it was an assassination, it was a very poor one. And there are guys here like Zimlife who have been reporting on the fact that Munatsi nails were off and so forth. In the police report, it's written that his hands were bent and his feet were bent. They were bent because when there's a fire and you want to get out, every surface you hold is going to be hot. So I do not think that someone was torturing him. I disagree with this issue, because if he was being tortured, he wasn't going to be telling the neighbor to call the fire brigade. So some of the conspiracy theories, I do not think they hold water in terms of what he's saying. But the question is on his relationship with Coletta. I think that question mark, if I was the police in Zimbabwe, I would find Cheryl Nyasha Johnson and ask her to disclose the identity of Coletta, the model. And then I'll take it from there, because that will give us the answers. If Coletta is from outside the country and she was in Zimbabwe, why would she leave the flat at 9 p.m. on foot? So that is quite a question that needs to be asked there. What is the lady Coletta will give us some answers, not only of what happened that day. Maybe there was an intellectual fault in the house, she would know. The security guard has already given all the answers of what he knows. He did not record the full name, but that is normal. I don't expect a security guard at a building to record everything. But the fact that he woke the girl up, it means she was not there before. It was her first time. If it was not her first time there, she was not going to be walked up to the flat. She would have known where the flat was. So this is clear. There could have been an unfortunate chain of events here, which could have led to the death of Douglas Munatsi. Then there's also the question of why did he not go to the balcony? So if you look at the balcony here, there's a balcony here which has got a lot of air, that has got a pool. So why did he choose to go into the bathroom instead of going into the balcony? So to me, it makes no sense for someone to rush. So you can see the bathroom from right here. The bathroom is on the left. And I'm not sure if that is an entrance or an exit. But why did he choose to go here, except if the fire was such that he could not get or access the balcony? But the neighbor says he saw him screaming from the balcony. And so this becomes strange. Was he perhaps drunk? Had he drink? Is he someone who drank beer, who could have been drunk at that particular time, so that his judgment was not where it was supposed to be? So those are some of the questions that could have arisen. And then obviously there's this issue which was being discussed by the family. is it possible that Munatsi could have possibly had any, what can I say? How can I put this? Did he start the fire? So basically, that is the question. If I obviously an investigator, you have to look at all the possibilities. Did he start the fire himself inside the flat? Is that a possibility? I think those questions, they need to be asked by the forensics investigators who are going to be looking into this case. The issue of death threats are easy. How was he receiving the death threats? Were they on the phone? Who would threaten someone who, according to people I talked to, was well loved by the president? So from the conversation that you saw here with Trevor, if you go and watch the whole conversation, he was someone on talking terms, or someone who could pick up the phone and phone the president and talk to him. I do not think if there was a death threat, he would fail to call the president and say, someone is threatening to kill me. But anyway, why would someone kill you for working at Zida? Zida is basically, as we speak right now, an idea. It's not yet functional. I was at Zida myself a few months ago. You can see that they're just starting. They've not reached a point where they are doing much. They are still establishing themselves as an organization. So I do not think anyone would kill him for that position. Like what Simba is saying here, I disagree. Zida is probably a lot more work than is worth it for someone to kill someone for that position. So I don't think it was a murder. If it was a murder, I don't think it was job related. It could possibly have been personal. So let's look at issues like Coletta. If we find out who Coletta is she married? Is she someone's girlfriend? And so forth. Those kind of questions arise. But the fact that she was being escorted to the flat, it means she was arriving there for the first time. She had never been to that flat. If she had been to that flat, she was never going to be escorted. Except, as you know, that there's no electricity. If it was dark, then the guard had to walk her up. But 6 o'clock, it's quite light. It's not yet dark. There is more questions which can be answered by finding Coletta than any other questions that we can do. Right, let's now look at the comments. Right, I think I'm done with the conspiracy theories. There's nothing here. I don't think the guy was killed. Many people want to make a big thing out of it. He was traveling out of the country. He was going to meet out the president. I don't think there's a big deal there. The only problem that I have here is Coletta. If you can't find her, if the police can't find her, then there's an issue. Now let's go to the comments. I want to quickly go through these comments. Right, Erisha is saying Munatsi benefited from working at Zida. I don't agree. As I explained to you, I was at Zida myself a few months ago. It's literally a new office there by near Eastgate. There's not much happening there. The guys are still establishing themselves. And I don't think they're making that much money that people are now scrambling for that job. I disagree with the issue of Zida being the motive. And then let's look at Courage saying he was killed, and they said he was not killed. And let's look at other comments here. So Coletta seduced God to walk him to flat so that whoever was Coletta get access through the gate. Then the rest is history. I don't know, Proactive Africa. See, 9 o'clock to 2 a.m., it's a long wait to kill someone. I don't think so. Nash said he was tortured and drugged before they killed him. My own two common sense. I disagree with you because if he was tortured and drugged, why was he in a sitting position on top of a tub? the guys who killed him, where did they get out? They would have thrown him in the fire. That would have been easier, isn't it? Than to leave him sitting on a tub and bent. You could have hidden all the evidence. So let's think harder here. I do not think a killer would leave you, start a fire, and then not put you inside the fire. Right. Fallen soldier saying there was no Zesa when he came back, it was probably blew something up. He was sleeping. Okay, it's possible, as I said already. Then King Tsepo is saying Coletta is just a decoy, I think. Okay, I think maybe you need to explain further how she's a decoy. There are a lot of people here saying she's a decoy. Tsunga is saying he could have gone to the balcony. I agree. Why didn't he go to the balcony? Except if the fire started and by the time he woke up, it was too much. But the neighbor told the guys in the Herald that he talked to him. He asked them to call the fire brigade. So he was awake by the time the fire got serious. He was awake. He was able to talk. He was not unconscious. Joe Chimi, I don't agree with you. She could have dragged him and left him LPG gas leaking. She left at 9 o'clock. And he texted his brother at 2 a.m. There's no way gas could leak for all those hours and then just blow up at 2 a.m. At 3 a.m. No, I disagree. This is rather unlikely. Then Fallen Soldier saying family issues got nothing to do with this. That is my suicide theory. And then Lindsay says, if suicide note, people usually leave suicide notes, isn't it? You should ask the family. They didn't say what issue was being discussed. We should also find out what issues were being discussed. Then I want to, let's look at a few more. Right, how could someone in their right senses run to the bathroom instead of choosing the balcony? Yes, I already said that. I do not know why he ran. I've already shown you the pictures. It makes no sense, the decision that he made. That's why I'm saying it's possible that you could now consider a motive or other reasons. So look at this bathroom. If you look at this first angle, this is inside the bathroom. And then if you look at this angle, this is from the bedroom. I'm not sure. There are 7 bedrooms here. So you don't know if this is the bedroom, but let's consider for a moment that this is the bathroom that was in. Why would you run in this direction instead of in that direction? Except if someone threw in the fire from that side or the fire started in that direction. Where is the kitchen? So there are so many questions here. But as I'm saying, you cannot just rush to say he was killed. That is the point I'm trying to make. There are so many factors here. Right, then the CCTV issue comes up. Edmore, you're saying, does the guard identify the photo of Coletta? There will be no CCTV. Why? Because there was no electricity since Saturday. You understand that Saturday, the previous day, there was no electricity. There is no way in Zimbabwe you can have electricity for CCTV between Saturday, when the electricity went away, and Sunday, when the electricity came back. And then the next 6 or 7 hours at night, there was no way. Right, then Proactive saying, I think he was killed by corrupt investors denied access to something they wanted badly. I do not think so. As I'm saying, I don't think this is work-related, because if it was work-related, well, it's my opinion. If it was work-related, he's got access to the president. He could have phoned. There are some guys in Zimbabwe who, if they want to phone the president, it's like the way you WhatsApp me, like when you're bored, you WhatsApp me. That's the way they can phone the president. They can just call him on his number and things will start happening. So these are not the kind of guys that when something happens, they just keep it to themselves. Except if it's embarrassing and personal, then they won't tell the president that no, someone is threatening me because I took their wife or something like that. So if it is business related, it will be resolved. I do not see this as an issue that is related to work. Right. So I think now we're talking on the issue of why what happened and how it happened. But I've given you the facts as they stand, according to the police report, which has been circulating. Obviously, that police report, it's not, I don't know why it was put in the public domain, but it is out there. We've put it on gambako.com. Right. I think the point has been made. Coletta is now the missing link. Coco Coletta, she needs to come out and say, was she there? And also, Cheryl Nyasha Johnson, she needs to come out clean and say, who is Coletta Coco? She must give that information to the police so that this information or this investigation can move forward. She cannot just hide who Coco Coletta is. And people who know her, they've put out this picture for a reason. Was she there? What was the purpose of a visit? And why is she mysterious and hiding in the death of Zeda CEO, Douglas Munatsi? So that is it for today. I think I've given you enough information. My condolences to the family, and very, very sad situation. Because, you know, what I want to say here is, there are people who are bringing this narrative that if you go and work in the Zimbabwe government, or if you work with the Zimbabwe government, you'll be killed, or you... I do not believe that is the case. The guys in Zimbabwe who are in intelligence, who are in government, very, very smart guys. Every time I've interacted with guys in Zimbabwe intelligence, I found them to be very... I'm surprised at most of them are very, very good human beings. You'll be surprised. Like the image that people portray of Zimbabwe intelligence and what you see when you actually talk to the guys, it's a different picture altogether. The Zimbabwe intelligence guys are well trained. They're very nice guys, our brothers or sisters, our pastors, our teachers, our whoever, people you don't expect to be in the service. But I do not think they're killers who just go around killing people for no reason. And in this case, such a high-profile person, I do not think that is what the Zimbabwe government has been doing. And it's said that people now take these kind of things to discourage people from working with people in government. I think if people were offered a position who are outside the country, there's nothing wrong with working with the Zimbabwe government. It's just like any other country. If you are invited to work with the government, you work with them, especially in investment. It's a good job that he was doing. He did well to leave his well-paying job, his new company that he had formed here in South Africa, to go to Zimbabwe to try and revive industry. Right, Fallen Soldier, I said, you know Coco, WhatsApp me. Here's my number. Give me her details, and then I'll come back here and we'll say who is Coco and what was her role in the death of Mr. Douglas Munatsi, CEO of Zeda, who passed away on Monday morning at around 3 a.m. in Harare at his CBD flat. Right, thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back tomorrow with another discussion. I hope that this has been useful. Thank you very much, and good night. Kuno, abo, bano,
mamuona kere nice. Anovura meso, anovura nzebe, anokaya marigi. Kama kweto tikom, kweto tikom usasai. Kama kwe anokaya marigi.
Kamba kwe uyo anotara mari anogaya mari garai mamunzwa pane nyaya pano zvamunoda kunzwa zvinotaurwa pano madiko kumunzwa mugovane.com. Kamba kwe vanogaya mari vanotaura mari vanoziya mari. Kamba kwe vanotaura feya kuti pamberi zvichafamba sei. Vanhu muteerere zvikubatsirei mukufamba kwenyu zvikubatsirei. Mirai ndikudzei kuti chokwadi pano chizere. Kamba kwe vanogaya cash vanopa mafacts vanotaura straight pane evidence pane confidence plus intelligence.
Entertainment, current affairs and news. Kamba kweto tikom usasarire. Kamba kwe anokaya mari.